In today's video, we're going to look at arguably the most hyped set and biggest set of the whole Scarlet and Violet era, 151. For those of you that are probably hovering somewhere around my vintage, born in the late 80s, early 90s, maybe even mid 80s or mid 90s, the original Game Boy games, the original Pokemon anime, brings about so much nostalgia, and the reintroduction of the original 151 Pokemon seemed to do that for so many people. So, why is this the best performing set when it comes to both, well, essentially not both Elite Trainer Box and UPC, but every sealed product that you can possibly think of when it comes to the Pokemon TCG? What makes 151 tick? What makes it so special? Why has it gone up in so much in price? And what can we take away from it to, I guess, transfer knowledge to future sets to make good investing decisions? Hey, if you're new to the channel, my name is Michael/Pokeols. We talk all things Pokemon card investing on this channel with a particular lens on the sealed side of things. And if you're coming back, thank you very much. I appreciate it. Your loyalty and support to the channel is really, really, really appreciated. So let's just jump straight into it. 151. I'm going to bring it up on the screen here, starting off with a little bit of background around the set. So its total set value is $1,297. So if we look at that, you sort of go, well, hold on, it's not actually that high. The total set value isn't all that great. And these are the questions I want to delve into, because on paper, 151 doesn't really represent as the best investing set you could possibly get into from Scarlet and Violet or Sword and Shield or Sun and Moon. But anyway, $1,297 is the total set value. The three most wish-listed cards is probably no surprise. It's the big three, the original trio, Charizard, Venusaur, and Blastoise. These are the most wish-listed cards from the set. They're the ones that everyone wants. Everyone wants the Sunzard, as it's being called, and the Venusaur and Blastoise with special illustration rare lines on there are great follow-ups with that. Now, here's the kicker. When we look at the total set value, predominantly the total set value, of course, comes from the main chase cards. So if you jump in and look at the main chase cards, what you'll notice is something quite interesting when it comes to 151. There's only one chase card above $100 US, which is the Charizard. There is, however, 6 chase cards over $50 US, when of course we couple in the Venusaur, the Blastoise, and a couple of others. And there's 17 cards over $20 US. So surprisingly, there's actually a little bit of depth when it comes to 151. 17 cards over $20 is sort of no joke. That means it's a pretty solid set with a fair bit of depth. But having only one card over $100 is actually really, really interesting. And to give you an idea on what I mean by this, let's jump into the final set from Sword and Shield era, which is Crown Zenith. Now, Crown Zenith is a phenomenal Pokemon card set. It has the Galarian Gallery with so many chase cards inside it. But here's just to give you an idea. Crown Zenith's total set value is way, way, way higher than 151's. And if we go over the top chase cards in the set here, you'll see that there's 3 cards over $100 US compared to just the one from 151. There's 8 chase cards over $50 compared to the 6 from 151. And there's 18 chase cards over $20 US compared to 17 from 151. But the big kicker is the top end of Crown Zenith. You've got 3 chase cards over $100 US. What's interesting moreover than this, and I'll get into the sealed product from 151 in a second, is 151's regular Elite Trainer Box is near on double the price of a Crown Zenith Elite Trainer Box. So this starts ticking over some questions in my mind. What makes 151 so expensive? What makes it so special? And look, I'm going to answer these, and then, like I said, I'll give some advice for some future sets after this. But let's just jump now into the sealed product. 151 almost brought about this whole new realm of sealed product investing. Probably the one that really gets me when it comes to sealed product investing that 151 really kicked off is probably booster bundles. And if we look at the prices of some of the sealed product up here, you'll see the Pokemon Center Elite Trainer Box, whoa, like, what a crazy price. $911 US for a Pokemon Center Elite Trainer Box. If you were lucky enough to get this at launch, the amount of money you've made at retail price to the price that it is now is just absolutely astronomical. The UPC, which holds a couple of promos inside there, which came in the Japanese set, which didn't make it to the English set, $560 US. That is insane. I remember buying mine for about $110, $120 US. Insane how much it's gone up. The Elite Trainer box itself, just the standard Elite Trainer box, $409 US. And like I was saying, Crown Zenith is sitting at about $220 US. So it's nearly double the price of a Crown Zenith Elite Trainer box, which, mind you, had stronger hits inside it, Crown Zenith that is, more total set value, and it's an older set. Why? Why is 151 so expensive? And then the booster bundle at $97 US. And booster bundle cases seem to be a new investment piece. Like that almost wasn't really, well, I know they haven't been out for that long, but it wasn't really a thing, was it? You know, originally it was booster boxes, and then, you know, people started displaying and collecting Elite Trainer boxes, and then people, of course, moved on to Pokemon Center Elite Trainer boxes because they're a bit more exclusive. And then when Scarlet and Violet came out, Pokemon Center exclusive Elite Trainer boxes having a stamped promo inside there, just like, it doubled their collectability, in my opinion. So it's crazy how we're just getting more and more sealed product as investable products. And booster bundle cases for 151 seem to be an incredibly valuable investment. People seem to be chasing those, and it's continued on with later sets. Like we see it with Paldean Fates. Maybe it's more a holiday set thing where you can't get booster boxes, but we see it in Paldean Fates. Moreover than that, we're seeing it in Prismatic Evolutions, where booster bundle cases are becoming quite a sought after investment, and something that maybe, you know, not many people had thought about before 151 really launched it. So with all that in mind, what makes 151 tick? Why is it so damn expensive? Before we answer those questions, I just wanted to give you a quick shout out to today's video sponsor, which is of course the Collectr app. There'll be a link in the description to download it. If you don't have it, you can follow my journey down in the content creators section. The big one is there's so many new features to this app. It just keeps getting better and better. You put your whole sealed singles collection in there. You can see total set value of your whole sealed collection. When you click on your portfolio now, you can see market movers for the day in both a positive direction and a negative direction, so you can see what's making moves for you. And also in the bottom right tab in your account there, it'll show you how much you've spent and what your total paper value is. But now, when you sell something, you can actually put in realized gains. So it'll show you your realized gains. So you can really turn it into a bit of a business-based app if you are really moving down that path of turning the Pokemon investing journey into a bit of a business for yourself. So awesome app. Pro user offers as well. Link in the description to download. So 151, why? What makes it so damn special? And you know what? I want to almost rewind back in time a touch to XY Era. And XY Era brought out a set at the 20th anniversary called Generations. Of course, 25th anniversary brought out Celebrations, and we have 30th anniversary coming up next year. So with that in mind, 30th anniversary around the corner, I don't think there's too much chance of the Pokemon card market slowing down, in my opinion. But rewinding back to Generations, when Generations first came out, it was important because it was the 20th anniversary. The Elite Trainer box had Pikachu on the box. It had this cool Radiant collection, but total set value wasn't all that high. And it's only recently that a lot of cards from Generations have really shot up in value, like the rest of the Pokemon card market, like the rest of XY Era. XY Era stayed dormant for quite some time, except for the really good sets like Flashfire and Phantom Forces. But now we're seeing a lot of those, I suppose, mid-tier sets not be so mid anymore and really jump up in price, like Ancient Origins, for example. And Generations is no different. Generations Elite Trainer box price, so sealed product price, has always outperformed the total set value or the total chase cards that you get inside it. Like it makes perfect sense for a set like Team Up or Evolving Skies to have incredibly expensive sealed product price. And the reason it makes total sense is because you can chase some amazing cards out of those sets. And they have so much total set value, and the top hits are worth so much money, both as raw cards and graded cards. Like I'm talking Latios and Latios from Team Up, I'm talking Umbreon from Evolving Skies, Rayquaza from Evolving Skies. You pull those cards raw, they're worth lots of money. You grade them a 10, they're worth even more money. So it makes perfect sense that sets with incredibly strong chase cards have incredibly strong sealed product prices. But then it begs the question, and I rewind back to like 4 or 5 years ago when I started in this hobby in Generations. I didn't start in this hobby, I should say. I started investing in sealed product in this hobby. Generations was very expensive, and I wanted to buy myself an Elite Trainer box because I thought it was a cool looking Elite Trainer box with the sort of Pikachu logo, you know, made out of the 20th anniversary logo. And I was like, this is a cool Elite Trainer box. It was damn expensive. And I was like, why is it so expensive? Like the chase cards inside there aren't that strong. The total set value isn't that strong. What makes it expensive? And you know what, like it always comes back to that word that you can't put a price on, nostalgia. It's like, you can go buy, and I'm a car nut, so forgive me if you're not a car nut, but I'm sure plenty of you that are watching are. You know, you can go buy a twin turbo 2JZ Mark IV Supra, which I would love to have, or you can go buy an R34 GTR Skyline. And in today's standards, although they are amazing cars and they're etched in history and they've got some film nostalgia behind it, you can go buy a car today for probably half the price, or in the R34 GTR's circumstance, a quarter of the price, which is going to perform way better than those cars. Like, they're good GT cars, but they're not quick cars for today's standard. Like, you could buy a Mark V Supra, which is going to be, you know, an absolute rocket ship compared to the Mark IV Supra. But there's just something about having a Mark IV Supra or a GTR Skyline, and you can't put a price on it. It's like they're etched in history and there's some nostalgia attached to it. And that's what it comes to, in my opinion, for both generations, but moreover, the topic of this video, 151. That's what it comes down to for 151 for me. What a smart business idea from the Pokemon company to release the original 151. And look, I don't think times were down for the hobby, but they just wanted to really kick it into gear. And like I was saying, you cannot put a price on that. Like, all original 151 Pokemon in the one set. Illustration rares of evolution lines like Charmander, Squirtle, Bulbasaur. Special illustration rares of some of the biggest cards in the set, of course. Charizard, Venusaur, Blastoise. My boy Alakazam getting an SIR. Even the Zapdos SIR, which has the 3 legendary birds inside there. I mean, to top it off, they could have done a Mew and a Mewtwo SIR, or maybe even just a really nice Mew illustration rare. I know they come out in the UPC, but it would have been nice if they were in the English set. So it's like, they've done this, and we all know how much hype there was around this set. This brought so many people back into the hobby. Like, it was insane how many people came back into the hobby due to this set and pumped money into this set. And I think that's why the correlation is off a little bit, because you look at it and you go, on paper, that's why I used the Crown Zenith example. You look at it on paper and you go, well, Crown Zenith should be worth more. An Elite Trainer Box of Crown Zenith should be worth more because its total set value is worth more. There's 3 chase cards over $100. There's 8 chase cards over $50. Like, it's a stronger top-heavy chase card set than what 151 is. And it's like, well, why isn't it worth as much? Because there's nostalgia on 151. That's why. And with all that in mind, moving forward, what does that mean from an investing standpoint? The rule still stands that if there's a strong total set value with strong chase cards inside the set, it's going to prove to be, you know, a strong sealed product in the future. However, if there's massive amounts of nostalgia attached to a set and massive amounts of demand for a set when it first comes out, and even more than that, like new people come into the hobby just because of that set, the sealed product is going to be worth so much in the future, even if it doesn't have the world's best chase cards inside there, or even if on paper something else beats it. Like, probably the best modern example in my opinion, and I know 151 is very modern, but even more modern than that, is Destined Rivals. Destined Rivals is another one where there was just so much hype around this set. You know, even when Pokemon launched the Team Rocket logo, like, over 6 months before the set even came out, people started going bonkers for it. There's a Team Rocket set on the horizon. This is going to be amazing. You know, we might see Dark Pokemon, we might see Light Pokemon, we might see, you know, Rocket's Mewtwo, etc., which we did. And like, what a fantastic idea. And straight away, you can see what sealed pricing has done for that. So in terms of putting your money into investments, like, nostalgia just holds more weight than I think people possibly give it credit for. And Destined Rivals is another example of that. And if we have sets that come out in the future where there's some level of nostalgia attached to it, like 30th anniversary, they're going to be good investments. Even Celebrations now, the 25th anniversary, there is actually some nostalgia attached to that. That is a set that is going to be etched in history for Pokemon. Whether you think it's the best set, well, clearly I don't think it's the best set. It's not the best set. I don't like how big the goofy 25th anniversary logos are, but anyway, that's my opinion. Either way, it's probably still a good investment, the 25th anniversary Elite Trainer boxes at the prices they are, considering we've got 30th anniversary around the corner. So just a little bit to think about when it comes to sealed investing is, you know, the nostalgia that can just force up or push up the set value, and the sealed product is just insane, and I don't think it can be underestimated. I'm Michael, this is PokeOz. Catch everyone next time.